You started with a dream, now you leading a team. Working it, closing them deals. Working with purpose, you don't walk around with a purse, but you working it, walking in heels. Beauty and brains, speaking and fighting for change. Intellectual and clever.
So pretty much house hacking is where you are going to buy a 2-flat, a 3-flat, a 4-unit, and live in one unit and you rent the other units out. So essentially you are living for free. That is the idea of house hacking.
Table, grinding from all different angles. Got you on trips, making money while the bank closed. You stay focused and you tryna get your paper. Independent, never asking for no favor. She got flavor, look at her behavior. They were sleeping on you, now they finna wake up.
I just want you guys to understand your purchasing power that you have as a first-time home buyer or as a home buyer in general.
Bossed up, never lost touch, it's going down. Gotta see you play monopolies for the properties we own now.
Really, for real.
Hello. Welcome back to the grand finale. I'm so sad, but this has been an amazing interview series for 2021, the 4th annual Flippin' and Heels Badass Women in Real Estate Virtual Summit, and just women in business in general. You guys have heard how to get the money, right, from one of our top loan originators in the country. You guys have learned about different investing strategies, from tax lien investing to mobile home. And I am going to wrap it all up with a bang. Our guest that we have here today is a phenomenal business owner, entrepreneur. Like, she doesn't even fit just in the real estate category. She is so much more. And I first met this woman by interviewing her and was just so amazed by her. I had to fly out to go and meet her. And then from there, the relationship just took off from there. And that's what it's about, right? Like, you guys hear me say all the time that business, especially real estate, is a relationship business. And 90% of success is showing up. So you got to show up. But without further ado, I want to introduce this amazing, like the most, look, I feel like the most successful businesswoman that I've ever sat at the table with, Miss Shannon Steel. Hey.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going great.
Good. So thank you so much for saying yes, for just showing up and speaking to the women who are tuning into the virtual summit. Born and raised in Detroit, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I started off my career with basketball. So I was a Nike All-American, a basketball player, all city, all state, all that stuff. I went to Martin Luther King in Detroit. I had a basketball scholarship to the University of Houston. Played there for 4 years, earned my degree in business and economics. And then I came back to Detroit after I graduated and was a stockbroker at 22 or 23. I was the youngest stockbroker in the United States at the time. So I did that for a minute. And then I went on a quest to start my entrepreneurial journey after I, didn't want to do the stockbroker thing anymore. I just wanted to do more. I became a little bored with it. So that's when I started my journey at about 24 years old, being an entrepreneur. So I've been in the game for a little bit of time now. And then I ended up going over to Africa and doing a bunch of stuff with the governments in Africa, raising a bunch of money for governments and stuff there and doing humanitarian work. In 2017 is when my real estate journey started. I started buying commercial real estate. And then 2 years after that, I acquired my first hotel, the one that you came to, Rashawn, in Southfield, the 239 room embassy suites that I converted to a Wyndham.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, that made me the youngest African-American woman hotel owner in the country. So right now, I'm just focused on expanding and just trying to get better. I did acquire an offshore private bank at the later part of last year during the pandemic. So right now, I've been focusing on getting that launched. Hopefully by this summer, everything with that'll be launched, and I'll be able to do a lot of stuff in the community and help other entrepreneurs, reach their goals through the bank. So
Mhm.
that's the my short story.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Cool. So so I want to touch on like you being the youngest stockbroker in the country, right? And it's so funny that when you said that, like, because I know that, like you said, it seems like your career, you have been a lot of first, right? Like the first to do this, so the youngest to do this. Has that been the goal, like from day one, like to basically be a trendsetter and break records or set records essentially?
No, well, yes and no. So, so I'm very goal oriented, but honestly, that hasn't been the goal, like to be the youngest to do something. It's just kind of happened because I've just been so motivated and so ambitious to get stuff done. It just kind of happened that way. Like even when I got the hotel, I had no idea until Wyndham Hotel and Resorts told me. I was just
Mhm.
doing real estate business, and I had no idea who owned hotels, how many African Americans own them, how many African American
Mhm.
women own them their age. So it's kind of just happened that way. It's just things that, I've always wanted to do. And I just put a lot of energy into them. And it just so happens that a lot of times I'm the youngest to do it.
Got it. And then that ambition, where does that come from? Like,
Um, I think it comes from God.
mhm.
Because I've had to overcome a lot of challenges, but I haven't lost any of my ambition or anything. And I think that that's been the key to being successful,
Mhm.
because failure is a part of it. And I think that every time I failed at something, I didn't lose any enthusiasm. As soon as I failed, I got right back up and kept going. And I failed probably over, hundreds and hundreds of times. I can't even count. But
So you didn't get
I never
discouraged
lost.
like at all.
I never got discouraged. I never got
Girl, let
discouraged.
me tell you, I got lost out on the deal, and I thought you just thought somebody just stole one of my kids that I don't have. Like I was so distraught, Shannon.
Yeah, I think that that's the key. It's okay. You've got to just pick yourself back up quick, and you got to
Mhm.
have a short memory when it comes to when things don't go your way. Just
Yeah.
forget about it. Find out what the lesson was in it, because that's really all it is a lesson. And
Hmm.
find out how you can do it better or try a different way the next time, and keep the same amount of energy, if not more energy. You can't lose enthusiasm. Now you have to be able to keep going and keep the energy and stay motivated. And I
Facts.
just look at it like, because my background is basketball, so a lot of times I use a lot of sports analogies.
Hmm.
And I just look at it like when you're trying to accomplish something. Let's just say, you know how at a lot of basketball games they'll pick a random person at halftime to, make a shot from half court, and they'll win like $10,000 or something like that.
Hmm.
Now imagine if they picked a person who never ever shot a basketball before, right?
Right.
The chances of them making the shot is slim.
Right.
Imagine if you had unlimited shots.
Mm.
Eventually you're gonna make it, right?
Yeah.
Each time you shoot,
Absolutely.
you're gonna make an adjustment. If you shoot an air ball, you're gonna say, okay, I gotta shoot it a little bit harder. If it bounces off the
Hmm.
right, you're gonna say, okay, I need to center it a little bit more. If you had unlimited amount of shots, eventually you would make it. And that's how I look at, when I'm trying to reach a goal. Like if you just keep trying and trying, eventually the odds will work in your favor.
Yeah, that's good. You're right. I mean, and that's with a lot with anything, and that's also what we're taught in real estate. Like, oh, it's a numbers game, right? So you got to see so many houses, or you got to make so many offers, or you got to do so. Like it's so. No, you're absolutely right.
Right.
Cool. Okay, good stuff. So fast forward to getting into real estate, because I know you, like when people ask you what you do, I love your response. You're like, I'm an investor, right?
Mhm.
And so you don't fit necessarily in one category, because you invest in many things. But I
Right.
do want to focus on real estate, as that's the focus for the summit. But so let me ask you, why real estate, right? Because you could have invested in anything, right? And you
Right.
do have several other businesses.
Mhm.
What's the why behind investing in real estate for you?
Well, I think that real estate investing is one of the key pillars to building wealth. It's something that you can keep in your family. It's something that you can pass down for generations. So that was my reason for investing in real estate, and also having a residual income as well for like my rental properties and owning a hotel and stuff like that. That's
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you can keep in your family and pass it down, and they can keep it for hundreds and hundreds of years. So that was the point behind. And I learned that as well when I was a stockbroker. One of my mentors, he was a real estate investor, and I just learned early on that it's a key part of building wealth. So that was the main reason I got into it.
Gotcha. Okay. What was your first investment into real estate? What did that deal look like?
My first real estate investment was a strip mall downtown Detroit.
Okay. And then was it occupied, vacant?
Yeah, it was occupied. I did a leverage buyout. It was already rented out, so it was a really good deal. It had a really good cap rate. It was just a good deal. It was a private sale we did. It wasn't something I was on the market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was a strip mall that was already rented out. All the units were rented out. It was bringing in about 35,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
and we just did an acquisition on it.
Okay. And then was it something that you were actively looking for? Like, did you know what you were looking for? Like, when you made the decision, like, okay, I think I want to start investing in real estate, or was it just something that came across your desk and you were like, okay, I'll take a look at it?
My business partner actually, they presented him with the deal.
Okay. So you
And
weren't
we
even
had,
looking at real estate.
I wasn't even paying attention,
Mm-hmm.
like at that time. And when they bought the deal, we went ahead and put the deal together. He said, "I really like it. Let's do it." So we did it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started seeing the checks come in every month, I was like, "Wow, I think I like this."
Right, right. You
And
was like,
then,
oh, I can keep doing it.
yeah, then I got excited about real estate. And before you
Gotcha.
know it, 3 years later, we look up, we got over a $50 million real estate portfolio. So
Right,
it just
right.
it just went it just kind of spiraled out of control in a good way.
Nice. Nice. I want to dive a little bit deeper into the deal, if you don't mind. And I want people to understand like how you analyze a good deal, right? Because those that are listening, I think we got to get rid of like the big deal myth, or like dispel the fear that comes along with that. And because I know you and I have talked about this before, right? Like it takes the same amount of effort to do the big deals as it does the smaller deals, right?
Right. That's true.
And so, but just breaking down a deal in general, right? Like what looks good to you, or if you want to break this one down, like in terms of, like you said, the cap rate, the cash on cash return, all of that.
Sure. So when I'm looking at an acquisition, um, as to a renovation, something that's just already rented out that you just acquire, that particular deal, when I got it appraised at 3 million. I was able to get the seller down to 2.3 million. So I already had instant equity when I,
Mm-hmm.
walked into the deal.
What were they
Um,
asking?
they were asking like, I think 2.8. I got them down to
Okay.
2.3.
Okay. And then at what point, because I know the listeners are thinking this. So at what point did you didn't get it appraised until you were under contract though, right?
Right, under the purchase agreement, right.
Right. Yep. Okay. So you can go ahead.
Right. So we looked at it, and we looked at the income it was bringing in, and I said, well, I think that I could probably finance this deal and not have to come out of pocket. So we went to a local bank, um, and they gave us 80%, yeah, close to 80%. this was a minute ago, so my memory. It was between 70 and 80%. We put the rest down. And when I ran the numbers, I had a really good interest rate. We got it was like 2.99% interest rate, which is really good for an investment commercial property. At that time, the interest rates were really low. So, the payments and stuff, it all made sense where I was able to still walk away with a nice check at the end of the month after I paid everything. And I was
Got
just
it.
basically just getting my money back every month that we had put down.
Right.
So, it was such a good deal. In less than a year and a half, we had already made our initial investment back that we put down, and the rest was just our profit, residual income.
Boom. Yep. Got it. Love it. I'm actually looking at a deal right now, like that for myself. So like you said, it, definitely not a $3 million deal, but right. Like putting 20% down, financing 80%, looking at a year and a half on the return, getting, the cash on cash, your money out. And then, like I said, looking at what the residual is. And it's good. So I'm so glad that you broke that down, because again, even though, we're talking about bigger numbers, like you say, it's all relative, right? And it's as long as it's within reach, and as long as the numbers make sense.
Exactly. As long as the
deal.
numbers make sense. So I was able to increase the equity. I walked into the property with equity because it was worth 3. It's worth more than that now because it's downtown. But I got it for 2.3, so I had an instant $700,000 in equity in the property, and money coming in every month from it. So it was just a good deal.
Right. Good stuff. I love it. Cool. And so from there, so I know you're into like residential real estate too. So that was I know just straight commercial, you aren't dealing with residential tenants. Have you seen a difference between the two of dealing with straight commercial versus, when now you have residents in the mix?
Yeah, it's slightly different, but I mean, it's just smaller. It's just smaller deals, but it's pretty much the same. There's not really that much of a big difference.
Okay.
Except sometimes dealing with individual tenants if they're not like corporate tenants, because in my strip mall it's corporate tenants and stuff in there. Sometimes you have issues with your tenants, but that's the norm. That's expected from time to time.
Right.
But besides that, I mean, it's the same exact thing. You just look at the numbers, run the numbers, and if it makes sense, you just do it.
Right. Now I want to talk about your team, because you are very much so a hands-off investor, correct? Would you say you're hands-off or hands-on?
Both. It depends on what stage of the project.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm very hands-off.
So let's talk about that. So let's talk about at what stage of the project are you more hands-on and are you more hands-out? Because there are so many people that that want to get into real estate because it's easy, and then there's people that don't want to get into real estate because they think it's not easy. So at what stages are you finding yourself more hands-on or hands-off, and then also why? And then we can also touch on your maybe on like the hotel project, because I know you were very involved in that.
Yeah, and it varies with each project,
right?
So it's not like I don't have a system like that, like, okay, I'm doing this part, and then after this part is done, I'm walking away. Because every project is so unique in itself that it just requires me to do something different or play a different role, it seems like, every single time. So sometimes all I have to do is just analyze the numbers, and we'll say, okay, we're going to do it. Sometimes I pop in on the contractors and see how stuff is going. Sometimes I'm not involved at all in the whole process. I always look at the numbers, though. That's one thing that I consistently do, because I'm a numbers person. I always run the numbers. I won't just rely on my CPAs and stuff all the time. I'll go over the numbers and stuff with them. But besides that, each project is different in regards to my role. Like, for example, my hotel, I was very hands-on the first year because it was just such a large investment that I made into it. So I mean, a lot of times I was even staying there before we were open because my meetings and stuff would start so early. And it was just a large project. So I was micromanaging the contracts. I was watching everybody. I was involved with the hiring process, all the way to, picking out the management company, the asset management company. I was very involved with the contracts, with the franchise agreements, with my Top Golf, going and get Top Golf, finding chefs. I mean, I was very involved with that. And then once we locked down the management company and stuff, I was able to walk away to the point where now I just have to, go over numbers once a month or whatever. But
Gotcha.
I just do whatever it takes. I just want to be successful. So
Right.
whatever the project requires in me, I just try to get it done.
And so the hotel deal, let's talk about that. And then, since you're such a numbers girl, and in order for you to obviously pull the trigger, it has to be a great deal. So let's dive into that and how you were able to analyze that and also acquire it. It was a hotel that was closed down at the time?
No, at the time when I bought it, it was open.
Oh, okay.
It was an Embassy Suites by Hilton.
Okay. So it was fully operational.
Right.
Okay. And then so you came in and then just took over as it was running, or like
Right.
how did you switch?
He was about to close.
Oh, okay.
We did our deal. I closed it completely and did, a $3 million renovation. And
So you closed and then shut down the hotel, or was it a part of your contract for him to shut it down before you closed?
It was a part of the contract for him to. I mean, I wasn't doing a Hilton deal, so we had to close and do another. I had to go get my own franchise degree, my own flag anyway, unless I was gonna go independent. So I got the property first and then did what I wanted to do with it.
Good. That's a good key, because again, bringing it back to a smaller scale, I was talking with a client the other day who was trying to figure out, like, trying to negotiate a package and if it was a good deal or not. And I was like, first and foremost, you got to get the tenants out. I was like, and the tenants need to be out before you close the deal. Right. I was like, if whatever is going on with the tenant, like the rents were way under market, and the client, he hadn't even thought about it. Like, he was about to sign a contract and close, like, with these tenants. And I'm like, you can't move forward and do what you telling me that you want to do without taking care of this first.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good stuff. So what were the numbers on the hotel?
I don't want to get into the numbers too much. But they was big. But it was the same process.
Wait, you said they was big.
It was the same. It was the same. It was the same energy and effort as the strip mall or me doing the residential deal.
Love it. Good stuff.
Just, once you negotiate and you sign a contract, that's it.
Yep.
It's just a bigger number. It's the same thing.
And then you being involved, was that was a conscious decision on you, like, really just wanting to learn because of, like, you were in the new industry also?
That too. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of learned as I went along. I just kind of jumped out there.
Right.
And I said, I'll figure it out as I go.
Right.
And that's like doing stuff like that. It's challenging. It's exciting. It's a thrill. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you was sleeping in the hotel. You was, hey, look, hey, I'm here. We gonna figure it out.
Right.
But I love it because, like, that's a part of the story. That's a part of the journey. And I think Henry Ford, mentioned something about that. Like, if they had documented the journey, where would so many other business owners and entrepreneurs be? If so many like successful stories had been journeys had been documented sooner. Right now we got social media, right? We document everything, right? Because we do understand that power, right? With like Gary V's and people like pushing that, right? Like document, and from there, you can obviously grow your business and generate leads and customers and that sort of thing. But yeah, like back in the day, just thinking about the journey and the process and what it takes. So yeah, so that's really good. Okay, cool. So the bank. I want to talk about the bank because the bank is definitely, as we are talking about, business on this virtual summit as well as real estate. So the reason for acquiring a bank, obviously we know by now, Shannon, it had to be a good deal.
It was a great deal.
It was a great deal. Okay. So we know it had to be a great deal because you are an investor. And at the end of the day, it's about the numbers. But so what type of loan are you going to be doing? Real estate loans, business loans, personal checking? Like what is this a local Detroit bank? Like what's going on with the bank?
How I got it structured is it's an offshore bank. However, I'm going to have offices here in the United States, and we are going to be lending. We'll be doing real estate loans. I think I want to do some auto financing. We'll be doing asset-based lending, things like that. We'll do I'll have an investment banking division as well for people who want to participate maybe in other upcoming projects that I have. Yeah, so it's going to be unique. The point of me doing it was to be able, because I feel like sometimes the banks here locally, sometimes it's like a square, and I feel like if you're an inch or two outside of the square, they don't accept you. So I wanted to have the bank where it was a little bit more flexible to different unique situations, and not just close the door in people's face if they outside of that box. So I think that it'll be able to, we're going to be creative and work with a lot of entrepreneurs and people who trying to, expand and be successful in their business. We'll be able to be their banking partner. That's how I want to set it up, where we're like a partner.
Right. Good stuff. Well, everybody that's listening, they're going to be coming to the bank to get loans. Everybody is listening.
Come on.
Entrepreneurs, real estate investors, business owners. So yes. What's the name of the, is it all set up or you're not sharing yet?
It's still private bank, but it's not public yet. It won't be public until the summer. Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm gonna be first in line. I'm coming to get all this money you giving out. So cool. So the last thing that I want to touch on before I let you go, this has been such an amazing interview. I know we've jumped around from, just different phases of your career, but more importantly, your journey. But that's because you've done so much, and I don't even think we've even scratched the surface. But as we are focusing on like what's going on with the current climate of women in business, and how we are the future, I want to touch on that because there's a lot of barriers that women may feel that they have. Like another woman we talked about, like the titles that women also have in addition to just being a woman, right? Being a wife and being a mother and being all of these different roles and titles, and but also being in business, and maybe there's a challenge, or maybe there isn't a challenge, in being respected in business when doing business as a businesswoman. So even early on, right, like you starting your career as the youngest stockbroker, and and all of those things, just everything that you've gone through. Talk to us about your journey there. Like, are there any challenges that you've had to face, or do you think, being a woman in business, have you been able to use it to your advantage?
Um, I think there've been a lot of challenges I had to overcome, me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Even from like me being a stockbroker, that itself was a challenge. Because I had a lot of things against me. It was for one, it was my age. I was 22,
Mm-hmm.
and I was trying to get into J.P. Morgan and Merrill Lynch, Northwestern Mutual, all these different places, and they all had me take an entry exam. And I'll give you an example because this really happened. I had went to all those places, Edward Jones, all of them. They all gave me entry exams, and I scored extremely high on them. The last one I went to was Ameriprise Financial in Troy, Michigan, and I made it to the third interview. They said I had scored the highest that anyone has ever scored on their entry exam. They invited me to the Christmas party, so in my mind, I'm thinking I'm hired. After the Christmas party, they invited me back to the office and said that they really liked me, but they didn't feel that anyone would really take me serious because of my age. And then probably, of course, probably because I was a young woman and I was an African American woman as well. I had all three of those things that I had to overcome. So they didn't give me the job. They said, everybody was saying I needed to get a year of experience, but I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get a year of experience if nobody would give me a chance?
Right.
So when I was walking out, one of the stockbrokers there, he was one of their like the top stockbrokers. He was like, I think I have somebody who may give you a chance. Don't give up. He said, go to, this place called AXA Advisors. And I called them. I set up an interview with them, but this time I went in with a different approach. Wrote down about 50 to 75 people that I felt would invest with me, once I passed the exams and everything, it was, an official stockbroker. And I also told them, because, to be a stockbroker, you have to be sponsored. A firm has to sponsor you, and then you have to study for the Series 7, and then you have to pass the exam. So you just can't go say, oh, I want to go take the Series 7 exam. A firm has to hire you first, and then you take it. So they actually make an investment into you. Most of them actually give you a stipend every month while you study because the exam is so hard. It requires a lot of your time. So you can't really work another job while you're studying. So I told them, don't worry about sponsoring me and even taking that risk. I pay for my own books. Just hire me, let me take the test. And when I pass the test, you reimburse me. So what I did was I was working at Sprint for maybe 3 or 4 months. I didn't spend one check. I saved all my checks. And once they agreed, I cashed my checks. I bought all my Series 7 training materials, and I studied for 12 hours a day for about 4 or 5 months, 7 days a week. And I passed the Series 7 exam. Um, and within 8 months, I was the top stockbroker at that firm.
Hmm.
So it's always a challenge and stuff you have to get over, but you got to figure out a way to overcome it. And it's
Right.
been like that with every step of my career. Nothing has been easy or nothing was given to me. I had to bust my butt for everything.
Right. Absolutely. Man, I feel like I was
That's
just
just being a stockbroker. I had
right.
to do all of that,
Mm-hmm. I feel like I was just watching a movie. The way you broke it down, you like
The
I
pursuit of
was
happiness, right?
leaving. Right. You like I was leaving and I was in the lobby and he said,
Yeah,
don't
I
give
mean, I
up.
applied for everybody. It was Merrill Lynch, Northwestern Mutual. And it's funny how things come full surface because Northwestern Mutual reached out to me last week. They said they heard my story and they want to partner with my bank and do some other work with me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, I remember when I was 23, y'all wouldn't give me the time of day.
Mm.
And I was trying to get
Mm.
in, but it's all good, and I'm just grateful for any
Absolutely.
opportunity, and I'm happy to work with any of the institutions because I know at the end of the day, it's going to be able to help other people,
Absolutely.
and at this point, that's what I care about.
I love it. I love it. Good stuff. Man, well, I'm like, I don't even have any questions to follow up behind that. That was I mean, that was very inspirational, but it, like you said, it's a part of your journey. It's a part of your story. And I'm sure we all have, I know I definitely got one. Where it was like, you were trying, you was trying to figure it out. And you either gonna fold or you gonna keep hustling, and folding is not an option, right? So you
Right.
just gonna,
You don't
yeah,
lose until you quit.
right,
So
exactly,
just the number one rule is just never quit.
yeah.
As long as you
Uh,
got breath in your body, keep going.
I do have a follow-up question. So those 50 to 75 people that you
Mm-hmm.
wrote down,
Mm-hmm.
so those were friends and family, like majority?
Yep, mainly.
Right. Yeah, because I
Yep.
figured we at 22, right? You gonna think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then did
I
that
had
method
uncles
work?
who was retiring and wrote over their 401k. People like that trusted me.
Exactly. So it
Yeah,
worked.
it worked.
Good.
I had a
And
couple NFL players. Actually, the guy I ended up buying a hotel with, my business partner, he was one of my clients because he was heavy in real estate back then too.
mhm,
So I had people, and they came on board with it.
yeah. And I love
Yeah.
that story too, because I feel like so many people are like, you see it all the time. Oh, my friends won't invest with me, or like my friends and family won't support my business, that whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say write it down anyway, right? Whether they do or they don't, that's on them. But
And ask
right,
them, hey, they may have other people who may know somebody who retiring or somebody else who may be interested. Ask
exactly.
them for an introduction to some of their close friends or people that trust them. Just find a
Exactly.
way to make it happen and stop making excuses on why you can't do something.
Exactly. Boom. Closed mouths don't get fed. Love it. So on that note, we are gonna wrap this session. I knew this interview was gonna be a lot to try and get it all into one. But thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you, follow you, support what you have going on? We want to know. We want to book a stay when we come to Detroit. We want to make sure we can sign up and get this money. So where, how can people find you?
Sure. So my personal website is www.imshannonsteel.com. That's IMSHANNONSTEEL.com. And my Instagram is Shannon_Steel1. You can keep in touch with me on there on my website and stuff. If you subscribe, I'll be having updates and stuff like that on the process of the bank, on where we are with everything, to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Miss Shannon,
No,
and
it's my
closing
pleasure.
us
Thanks for
out.
having me. Thanks for
You
having me,
are.
and I'm proud of you, and I like what you're doing. And hopefully,
Thank you.
I was able to inspire somebody today or stop somebody from giving up. And yeah, that's what my hope is for this interview.
Absolutely. Well, look, me, every time we talk, sis, I'm inspired. So yes, you inspired somebody today. Okay.
Good.
So yes. But thank you so much. So that's a wrap for our summit, ladies. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm at Rashana Scott everywhere, also at Flippin and Heels. You guys can also join the private women's membership group, Infinity. All of the information can be found online.